I'm not going to be holding back in this particular video. I just wasn't sure what to do or what was happening. I think I became afraid. I was hearing prices like 1.5 million, 2 million, 3 million. I'm like, huh? I think I was going to quit YouTube. I don't want this life. I'm not going to deceive myself into thinking that it's every single person that follows me that loves me. People that are waiting to hear something bad so they can say, aha, I knew it. No one can ever be that perfect. Hi guys, welcome back to a new video. My name is Ezinne Zara, and as you can see, my environment, my setup, my filming space is a bit different. Even though I feel like every time I'm putting out content, my filming space is always different, but I love you guys. You guys are so what's the word I'm going to use? Is it polite? No one ever really asks like, oh, what's going on with your space? Like, it looks different from how it normally looks. Everyone just kind of just tunes in and watches the video, and it's just, you know, supportive and nice, and I really appreciate that. So because of that, I believe that I should give you guys a proper life updates video, and that's what this video is going to be. As you can see, I'm in bed. I just want it to be really chilled and laid back, nothing forced. Just me and you guys talking, gisting, and chatting. So where am I currently? Like, let's just start with that. I am at one of my favorite cities in Nigeria, Calabar. If you follow me on Instagram, then you may have seen my Instagram stories where I posted about, you know, traveling for my uncle's funeral. Yeah, I traveled to lay my uncle to rest. Well, actually, it's Isimeme's uncle, but he's my uncle too because of marriage, and we really love him. He's very dear to us, and he left us suddenly some 2 months ago or so, and we finally laid him to rest this weekend. Sorry to be starting the video on such a heavy note, so I just thought to say that first before moving on to anything else. I don't really talk about the challenges or struggles of my life on social media, first of all, especially when it involves my family, because I love my family so much, and I want to protect them from just the opinions and the intrusion of strangers online. Of course, not from my subscribers. You guys are respectful, you guys honor other people's boundaries, but once in a while there are a few miscreants, let's just call them that, who would like break through the ranks and just do something a little bit foolish. And so I don't even want I don't want to deal with any of that. I don't want my family to deal with that. Like I've said before, and I'll say it again, like I'm the one who has been called to a public life, sort of. My husband hasn't been. My siblings necessarily haven't been, because there's some people that are like, oh, why don't you post the rest of your siblings? I have like 5 siblings, and you guys have only seen 2. And people always like, oh, why don't you post your other siblings? And I'm like, yeah, like they've not been called to this life. I'm not going to force everybody in my life to come on camera. You know, at the end of the day, like what I'm doing here is supposed to simply just show snippets of my life and not my entire life. So whatever I put out on social media is just a very small fraction of my real life at the end of the day, you know. But I just felt like I needed to share this as well, in the spirit of coming back to social media. If you've been following me on YouTube here, you've probably noticed that I haven't been posting the way I used to, or even interacting with my content the way I used to. I've definitely changed, which is normal. It happens to anyone that is just growing up. You're just changing because you're trying to figure out who you are. You're trying to make sense of life. There are real life things happening to you every single day, and then you're somehow supposed to just come online and just act like you're not also dealing with life or things that are not happening to you. You know, I used to have a blog, well, I still have it, but Bible diary blog, where I used to just come on and post and share things about like struggles that I'm facing in my Christian walk. And I remember like there was a time that I got a comment from someone, I can't remember who it was, but I can remember the comment, and the person was like, oh, you know, I used to think that you were always complaining about your your life, and it just felt tiresome to listen to you, because it was just like, oh my God, this girl is always complaining about something, you know. And I thought about that person's statement, and I was like, you know what, this is true. I was always complaining. At the end of the day, that was the point of the blog. It was to share like struggles I was facing. But then I just realized, like, through that person's comment, that like, oh my goodness, like, people don't really want to come online and just hear sadness, or, you know, be hit with the tragedies or traumas of, you know, somebody's life. They kind of just want to come and and just be entertained or escape their own lives, so to speak. So when they come on your page or your channel or your blog, and all you're doing is just talking about your own struggles and your problems, they're like, fam, I came here to escape my problems, not to hear about yours, you know. So I think after that, I just stopped sharing, you know, challenges or whatever that was going on with me. And also, as I grew and I changed, I realized that social media and the people who follow me are not necessarily my friends, that I'm not supposed to come and dump on. I really cut down on that. But I think, like, over the years, there are other kinds of criticisms that I've faced. You know, I've heard people tell me, share some of the persecutions you faced, you know, on account of following God. And I've just been very hesitant to, because now I'm the kind of person who does not want pity. I don't want people to be like, oh my goodness, this is what you're going through. You're suffering so much. Your life is so hard. Sorry, Ezinne, how can we make you better? Or even worse, to maybe start trying to attack certain people. I believe that we are just in different stages of our lives. People are going to hurt you, and I'm going to hurt people as well. And I hope that the people that I have hurt in one way or the other have found a way to forgive me. And so I'm also on my end trying to make sure that I find a way to forgive people who have hurt me. Sometimes the hurt is not even intentional on the ends of people. Like, it might just be that, Holy Spirit, help me. It may just be that they are just still growing up, or it was a miscommunication. But I think it's very rare where you find somebody who intentionally goes out of their way to be spiteful or hateful towards someone. So usually when there is like a clash or a conflict between me and someone, I try to make excuses for their behavior. I may not put myself in a situation like that again, like give them the same access to me or allow them to be in my space, but I definitely won't have anything in my heart against them. Excuse me. I was getting to a really dark place, right? I wasn't pleased with who I was becoming anymore. And yeah, I had to redefine, like, okay, so how can I continue to do this and maintain my sanity? And that led me down into like changing who I am online. If you notice, I haven't really posted as many vlogs even since I've come back to social media. And I was thinking about it the other day and just talking about it with my loved ones, and just realizing that at the end of the day, I can't allow, you know, the horrible things people have said about me to influence me. I have to get my identity from God, especially if I'm praying that the content I'm creating will reach many more people, because that's something that I pray and I ask God for, because I want many other people to come here and to share in this light and to be blessed. Those people are going to come, and, you know, I'm not going to deceive myself into thinking that it's every single person that follows me that loves me or likes me or wants good things to happen to me. There's some people that are waiting to hear something bad so they can say, aha, I knew it. No one can ever be that perfect. And God will continue to disappoint them in Jesus' name. Amen. So I know that, you know, with more influence or more eyes, you know, there will be more angry people that will also come. But I can't allow that to affect me. And so I just want to sort of apologize to you guys who have been following me faithfully over the years, or even for a few months or weeks. The Ezinne that you're seeing is not the Ezinne that started out. I have changed because of age, but also because of criticisms. And I want to get back to doing what God asked me to do on this channel, which is showing like lifestyle, just showing lifestyle Christianity, like how I am living my life as a Christian, how I get to involve God in everything, and just bring you guys along on the journey of my life. I think one of the things that also made me stop doing vlogs, let me just be honest, because this is going to be like an honest chit chat raw video. I'm not going to be holding back in this particular video. When I took the long break from January to I think September, I did not know, I hope I don't sound funny, but I did not know how popular I was, or I didn't know how many people knew me. So I just stopped posting because I was burnt out, I was exhausted, and God had told me it was time to start writing, and there were a few other things that the Lord had spoken to me about that He wanted me to focus on. So I just went offline and just, you know, decided that, okay, I was actually going to take a whole year off, to be honest. Just take the year off, you know, calibrate and recalibrate and think, and just really decide who I want to be and what I want to do with my life going forward. And I got messages, I can't count the messages. I got over 1,000 messages. I'm not even trying to exaggerate. And then when I would go out, I was starting to run into people who were like, oh, I watch your videos, I watch your content. My husband was running into people who were like, oh, I know you from your wife's channel. Like, I think I became really afraid, because when God sends me to do something, I usually just go and do it. I never really think about what the effect of my obedience will be. I didn't also know the impact I was having in the lives of people. Like, I would meet some people and they would be crying, and I just wasn't sure what to do or what was happening. I think I became afraid, and I was just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want this life. I just want to be a normal person. I want to have a normal life. And I think I was going to quit YouTube, you know, because I was just afraid. I wasn't sure what to make of everything that was happening, you know. If you've ever run into me in public, I just want to use this medium to also just offer some light. I went to speak somewhere, I think in August, and so people came to take pictures with me, and I just didn't want to take pictures. I think that's something else that you may have noticed if you run into me in public. Like, it's not because I am being prideful or funny. I'm just still trying to understand what is happening in my life, and I feel like I don't really see anybody post videos about it or talk about it or say like this is how to navigate being in the public eye. You're just expected to know what to do. Even though I'm praying that the content I'm doing reaches more people, I want them to be blessed by God, and I want them to come to know God. I'm not necessarily doing it so that they can become lovers of me. Does that make any sense? Yeah, I'm not doing it so that the attention will be on me, but I'm starting to see that I can't separate the two, right? Like, if my videos are going to go out there and people are going to be blessed, people are going to want to interact with me and treat me like I'm someone different, or, you know, someone special. And I think every human being desires to be honored. By the way, let me just say that it doesn't mean that I want somebody to walk up to me and be like, hey, Ezinne, and just toss my hair. Like, that's not what I'm saying either. Like, every human being wants to be treated with honor. And I think Apostle Selman is the same way. I think he too had to speak about how he had to learn how to like be social and be out there and speak with people and all of that, because left to him, he is much more introverted. I think part of the reasons why it was so hard was that I had not accepted that this was what God had called me to. I think I was still trying to fight it. There was a part of me that felt that I could somehow separate my activities online from my real life. I didn't want the two to meet. So there are even so many people that know me in real life that know nothing about what I'm doing on social media. And I wanted it to be that way because I wanted to still be able to have as normal a life as possible. I didn't want to become my content. But now I'm starting to see that it's getting to a point where I can't hide it anymore. It doesn't matter what I do. God just takes it and amplifies it and makes it big. It doesn't matter where I go to, you know, people want to talk to me, people want to interact with me, people want to share their experiences or their life with me. And it's not all bad. There are perks to it too. Like, there's some places I go to because people have been blessed by my content. They make the process of whatever I came to do so much easier, whether it's in the bank or it's at a church meeting or it's whatever. Like, you know, I just get favor because of that. So it's not all bad. And I guess I'm just getting to a point where I'm starting to see that I have to accept that this is my life and I have to stop running away from it. The earlier I accept that this is what God has called me to do, the more I can now fully find out the systems I need to put in place to be able to operate at an optimum level, as opposed to running away. I'm sure I've shared with you guys, and my husband will always tell me, like, if I go to like a supermarket or something and somebody is like Ezinne, I'm still shocked that a stranger knows me. Like, if somebody says Ezinne, I'm like, sorry, do I know you? Like, I completely forget that I have this thing here. I'm just like, oh, how do they know my name? And I'm like, you know, concerned or worried or whatever. And then my husband would tell me, you have to stop acting surprised every time somebody calls your name. And I'm just like, I can't help it. Like, I'm just like, how do I know you? But yeah, I guess I'm in that era where I'm just saying that I have to accept that this is what God has called me to do, and I have to stop running away from it. Then what else have I been up to? I have been working on preparing for the TC end of the year events. If you're new here on the Ezinne Zara channel and you're like, what is the TC? TC is True Christianity. It's a community I steward that the Holy Spirit led me to start. We've been just having hiccupy, which is a bit hard for me because, hey, I am an overachiever. I give myself very high bars to scale, and then when I fail to meet them, I'm disappointed in myself. Does that make any sense? But yeah, that's kind of how I operate. Anywho, TC will find its footing gradually, and I'll even come to that later when I talk about like how growing up in front of people is hard, but I'll come to that later. So basically, TC is planning the end of the year event, True Christianity. At the end of every year, we usually do a worship event or a worship meeting. That's how the Lord has led me every year since 2017. You know, for those who do not know, True Christianity was established in January 3rd, 2018. So the December before that was when we had our first worship meeting. So this one that we're going to be having, it's not going to be a worship meeting this year. I think this was in October. The Lord started to speak to us. No, September. The Lord spoke to me one day when I was praying, and He told me that the worship that you usually do with the TC, you know, community or the people that come around for that worship meeting, I want you to take it outside. When the Lord first started speaking to me about it, He was speaking to me about it like worship without borders. I got the TC team together and we were praying almost every single day for months, you know, trying to get clarity on what this means. Like, okay, God is saying He wants us to worship without borders. What does that mean? I thought it was like a virtual worship meeting, because I remember the Lord had spoken to me something about that, saying to me that, you know, when I call for these worship meetings, the last events we had about 500 people in the hall. It was so hard to get a hall, of which I'm wondering if I want to even talk about this here. You know, I said before that I don't like sharing like struggles or challenges I face, because I don't want people to think I'm asking for pity, and I don't want people to be like, oh, she started again with her complaining. But I want to use this opportunity to thank every single person who has ever given to TC. Oops. Who has ever given to me, to the work that God has called me to do. You will not know how far the things you give or the things you've done go. And I just pray that for every person who has given, that God will bless you abundantly in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Usually before every TC meeting or every TC event like actually happens, people will reach out and just start to give. But last year December, after I announced the TC event, nobody was giving. I remember that I went back to God, the person who sent me, and I said, God, I don't know what is going on. We had done like a budget, like drawn up the bill for how much we thought it would cost. I was cutting out a lot of things just because we didn't have a lot of money to work with. So normally when I do a TC meeting, I want to serve food because I believe that food is such an integral part to the ministry of Jesus Christ. People just want to eat, and there's just something about food that just makes people feel loved. And I just always want to be able to give food, but people were registering at a rate that was scary to me. We had like about 500, what am I saying, 500? Over 500 people registered. I had to close the registration link because I just couldn't take any more people. And that was for Lagos alone. Even the hall that would take up to 500 people, I did not know what I was going to do. I was like, okay, I think let me start asking around for halls. So I started calling up places like halls that would take up to 500 people. I was hearing prices like 1.5 million, 2 million, 3 million. I'm like, huh? Now we've not even started talking about the sound system, because if you want to get a sound system, you have to pay money as well. If you want to get water, you have to pay as well. And then honorarium for the ministers. Let me just say this: there's nobody that has ever come to minister in TC before that has asked me like, oh, you need to pay this or pay that, because I try to get people who truly love the Lord and are doing this because they love the Lord. I always make sure I honor people, that I let them know that I recognize that you sacrificed your time. They are not charging me and I'm not paying them. I'm just simply saying thank you and I honor you. And there's just something about when a person feels appreciated. There's an added blessing. It may just be a silent thanksgiving in their heart that the Lord honors, and then you just find that the Lord is blessing you for also honoring his own servants. It's like the Lord has sent them on an errand and you welcome them warmly and you take care of them. The Lord will give you a reward for that as well. So I don't just invite people and they finish ministry and I'm like, oh, thank you very much, okay, bye-bye, like, because it's supposed to be about God. No, I don't do that. So I need to factor in the honorarium for my ministers, and I'm not going to be cheap about it either. I'm going to do something substantial. But I removed so many things in this particular event, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to focus on honorarium for the ministers, T-shirts for the volunteers so that we can easily identify them, sound system, and the hall we had gotten it at, it was just favor. But the hall couldn't take 500 people. It could only take like, I think 200 or something. And I just prayed, I just said, God, there's nothing I can do. So I remember when I was asking God for money for this event, God just said to me, I have blessed you this year. Take some money out of your, account and go and do it. So that TC December event was mostly funded by me, by the way. I use my own money to host people to worship God. So that you guys know that I'm not doing this because of money or whatever. I'm grateful for the people who have partnered with us, because some people later came and partnered with us and it was great and all of that. But at the end of the day, like, even if nobody gives to me, the Lord will always find a way to like bring what is needed to get his job done. But anyway, the whole point of this long story that I told was just to say that 500 people, the hall couldn't even take them. Some people were sitting on the floor, on the window sills. I felt so bad. And I was like, okay, the next event is probably even going to be much more people. God, where do I put all these people? And I just felt the Lord say to me, like, I don't even want them like, inside a place with walls. I want you to take this worship outside. And I said, okay, God, what do you mean? So we're praying, me and the TC team, and then it dropped in our hearts, almost like all of us at the same time, that the Lord wanted us to do a prison ministry. He wanted us to be the hands and feet of Jesus Christ. And so we started praying about it, because we're like, oh my goodness, I've never done prison ministry in my life before. Coincidentally, some months ago, we had also just studied from a book in the Bible that was talking about how important it is to visit those in prison. And if you're Catholic, you know that that is one of the 7 corporal works of mercy, is to visit those in prison. It's one of the things that Jesus Christ instructed us to do. And I just felt the Lord say, take that worship to the prison. Like, go there, minister to those people who are in the prison, share the gospel with them, worship God with them. We're going to be doing that at the end of December. We're just putting a couple of things together, and if you want to partner with us financially for that, please just send an email to team@ezinnezara.com and just say you want to partner. We are going there and souls are going to be saved and Jesus is going to be glorified. So that's something else that I've been working on. just behind the scenes. I think I would try and vlog that day so that you guys can also see it and just be inspired as well, wherever you are, in whatever part of the country or the world, to just go out and win souls and bring them into the kingdom. I hope you guys are not bored. Like, I feel like I've just been talking for a while and I'm just like gisting about my life. I hope you guys are not like okay, isn't it? I made some points on my notes in case you see me looking down on my phone, just so that I don't forget anything. I think I wanted to share like some of the difficulties I have faced with content creation, which is why I said I will come back to this later. It's so hard to grow up in front of people, to grow up in front of eyes, because people are watching you and they're forming their like opinions of you, and sometimes there are also expectations. You know, people are like, oh, by now you should be doing this, or, you know, by now you should not be doing that, or why haven't you done this, or why haven't you done that? I remember the first time I launched my podcast, I was doing the visualizing, I was doing the concept, I was doing the speaking with the person that was doing the logo, I was filming my videos, I was editing my videos, I bought the mics with my money. I'm a one-man production house, basically. I'm not proud of it. I'm trying to get more people on the team, like someone to help me with editing and, you know, all of that. I'm not saying that I'm proud of being a one-man production show, but it's how I've been for a while, and it's not the best, to be honest, because at the end of the day, I'm a wife. I have a whole home to look after. I can't spend all of my hours on my laptop editing or coming up with concept or ideas for new videos. I need to take care of my home, which is some of the things that I'm also talking about, like growing up and having to figure out life in real time is very hard. You know, there's almost no space to just sit down and think about your life, because if you're not online for 2 weeks, people are like, oh my goodness, what is going on with her? What could possibly, what is the scandal? What is the secret? There's nothing. I'm just thinking about my life. Like, if this is what I want to do, like even recently I was thinking, like, do I want to work in 9 to 5? Like, these are thoughts that I have. Like, I don't know how other people live their lives, but I'm constantly thinking about my life, because I never want to get to the end of my life and feel like I didn't maximize it to the fullest. And that happened for me after my friend died. I became so conscious about the gift that life is and not wanting to misuse it. So I don't go through my life mindlessly. I'm not just like, oh, let me just keep on creating content week after week after week after, without ever thinking like, where is this going to? Like, what is my end goal? What is my end plan? When I'm 30, what do I want to have achieved? What do I want to be looking like? What do I want to have? Like, I'm constantly thinking of my life deeply. So sometimes, like, when I'm online and I'm just like creating content week after week after week, I'm just asking myself, like, until when? You know, is there any other thing I should be doing? Should I go back and like, should I go back to school? Should I go for my master's? Should I get a like certification? Should I work, you know, outside the country? Should I? And that's something else. Like, I'm very open to new experiences, you know, because I've had some people ask me like, oh, what do you think about, you know, people leaving the country? I don't see it as demonically as some preachers seem to talk about it. I don't think it's demonic that people are leaving the country in search of a better life. I don't. I'm not even opposed to it, to be honest. I'm probably the kind of person to want to move to another country just to see what it's like. If for me, it's not even about escaping a system or escaping poverty, because by the grace of God, I understand that Eden, or the promised land, or whatever you choose to call it, is where the presence of God is where God has asked you to be. It's not necessarily a location. It's not the UK. It's not the US. It is wherever God has asked you to be. Your promised land can be in Lagos. Your promised land can be in Calabar. Your promised land can be in Kebbi. Your promised land can be in Kwara. It's just wherever. I thought I just saw an angel. I'm not joking. I thought I just saw an angel there. All right. Your promised land can be wherever God wants you to be, or wherever God is calling you to be. I mean, I've told God that I'm open to like living anywhere in the world. If he wants to send someone, here I am, send me. So for me, moving to another country or moving somewhere else is not for a better life per se, as much as it is, okay, God, what would you have me do here? Because recently, especially, I started reading Paul's letters, and I just started to see that Paul was always moving. He was like, when I'm coming to Corinth and I'm coming to Ephesus, when I'm coming to even Italy, you know. And for him, it wasn't about, oh, a better government or a better culture or whatever. It was just like, what is the will and purpose of God for me in this city? And so I feel like that's how I've been thinking of my life as well. Like, I believe that there are many places God wants to take the gospel to. Many of these Western countries are just so broken down in their faith, you know, and God will be sending, you know, Nigerians there. And I believe that the purpose of us going to these cities and these states and these countries is for us to take the gospel with us to those, you know, places. So I'm not opposed to it. If God tells me, like, Ezinne, I want you to move to the US, I'm not going to be like, no, I don't want them to say that I you know, jackpot God. I will go, because God needs Ezinne in the US. There's an assignment, and that's what I try to focus on. Growing up in front of the camera is hard because you're a young family, you're trying to figure out what is best for your family, you're trying to figure out what God is calling you to also do. You're just trying to make, there's so many changes that are happening so rapidly and so fast. Something else I want to even share with you guys in this life update, since we're catching up. By the way, I'm going to be posting this to my podcast as well, even though this is not necessarily a podcast episode, but I guess just for those who like the audio to also be able to listen and catch up. Anywho, I want to apologize for the marriage video and everything. It didn't come out the way I thought it would. I think the week after I posted my last video, which was the hair lock video, I decided I was going to take a break for a week just to rest, and then I was going to be back to content creation. But then the week after that was my church conference. It was a week-long conference. Our pastor had told us before that we should just take, like, we should plan our work leave around that time, and then just make sure we're there every day for the conference. I felt like, nah, it can't be that intense. It was that intense. I was so tired all the time. I don't know, because I was at a point I was even feeling a bit silly, because I'm like, if I'm the one who is being blessed and I'm feeling so tired, then how are the ministers now feeling, you know? So I was trying to be like, Ezinne, get over yourself. But I was so tired, to be very honest. I couldn't even do anything. I couldn't film anything. But on the Sunday, I somehow managed to drag myself and drag my friend Ifoma to film the video about marriage. But I was actually so tired, and it's a long story. Anyway, it was now time to edit the video, right? I was trying to edit the video and everything. I just got someone new on my team to help me with the editing. But if you know anything about me, you know I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So when I saw the first cut, I wasn't so happy with it. Like, it's not that the person is not good. It's just, there's just a certain way I like things to be done. And so I was just like, there was no time to even start, like, I didn't want to come online and start telling stories and be like, oh, sorry, this video can't come out now, you know, blah, blah, blah. I just feel like people would just be like, after telling us to expect this video, it's not now here. So do you know what I did, guys? I stayed up the whole night. I didn't sleep. This is part of the things that God is fighting me about, because it's like, how can you stay awake throughout the night editing instead of you to get proper sleep so that tomorrow you can function better? But yeah, I didn't sleep. I still wasn't able to even finish editing it because I had a flight to catch. That was the flight I was supposed to catch for my uncle's funeral. It was on Friday. So I was editing even on the plane, still editing this video just to show you how long it takes me to edit the videos that look a bit simple. It might just look like, oh, it didn't take so long. I was editing 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 12 a.m., 10 a.m. Like, I was editing until like 3:30. It took me that 3:30 p.m. So which I think is over 12 hours. I was just editing constantly. I didn't even sleep. I was so exhausted. You can't even imagine how exhausted I was. I was so tired. And then I had also now realized in the process of editing that my audio had an issue. That was another reason why it was taking me so long with the editing, because I was trying to resolve the audio issue. So these are some of the challenges that I just faced with content creation. I don't like to talk about them because it sounds like excuses, but it's not excuses. It's just content creation can just be so challenging, you know, especially when you're a one-man production house. You have to learn about gadgets, equipment. You won't even believe how many things have been set up here for me to be able to film this simple looking thing, you know, and I had to learn how to do all those things. So the video couldn't come out. I tried, it just couldn't. So I just posted, I think, to my community that I'll try to post the full thing on Saturday, you know. And from there, like once we landed, we had to go for service of songs. So I still didn't even sleep. It's a lot. Okay, I think I have been talking for a while. I don't want this video to be too long. So I think I'm just going to tie a bow on it and just end it here. I hope that this our conversation, like us just catching up, has been fun for you, that you really enjoyed this conversation. I hope. I wanted to go more in depth and just talk about some of what I've been learning in my faith journey, but I think I will keep that for another video. I'm taking it easy, one step at a time, and just know that I'm also figuring out life real time, and that I don't have all of the answers. I don't have it all figured out. There are going to be gaps and pauses sometimes when I'm just trying to figure out like where exactly the Lord wants me to be, because believe it or not, God's plan for my life is not always YouTube. God's plan for my life does not look the same in every single season. If you see anybody that is consistently like putting out content, just know that that thing is taking up like 80% of their lives, if not 90%, because the thing about being a content creator is that you never switch off. You never ever switch off. You're constantly thinking about your work. You're constantly thinking about content. I don't know what the future holds. I am just hoping that it is going to be not as scary as the past few years have been, in terms of like completely taking me out of my comfort zone. But if there's anything we know about God, is that he's constantly taking us out of our comfort zones and always trying to get us to be like him. He wants his children to look like him, you know. So that's just God's emo. And God, I'm down for the ride, you know, whatever you want, for your will, for your glory. Ezinne Zara is down. And yeah, I think that's all I have in this particular video. The next one is going to be a vlog. I think I'm going to be responding to the New Year dilemmas. I asked you guys to share the end of the year dilemma. Sorry, I asked you guys like how you're feeling as the year is coming to an end, because I wanted to respond to that, and many of the responses were so heavy. Like I was just like, this is why I don't like doing these things, because they're just so heavy and people are going through a lot. And you know, sometimes when you read it, like just responses after response after response, just heaviness. It brings heaviness in my own soul as well. And I'm just like, God, I can only play my own small part that the Lord has given me to play. But sometimes it just makes me think about God and just wonder like how he's going to just make all things right, because he will. At the end of all time, he will make all things right. And it just makes me like respect God even more, because no one can do his job. And also just helps me, like, you know, reminds me that I need to be pointing people to God and not to myself, because at the end of the day, I don't have what will make them whole. Only Jesus can make them whole and can solve all of their problems. And there are quite a number of things. But yeah, the next video is going to be a vlog. If you're listening to this on the Easy Like Sunday Morning podcast, go check out my YouTube channel, Ezinne Zara. And thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed catching up with me like we're on FaceTime, and I will see you in my next video.